Hello, my paradigm pushers. This is Becca from Becca About It. And today I am recording the video that I promised you guys last week regarding walk-in souls. I do not have my guest, unfortunately. We're still working out some technical difficulties. And I actually have one other walk-in guest who has agreed to come on and talk about their experience as well. So this is a really exciting topic, and I actually have a lot to say about this topic. I'm not sure how I'm actually going to even disseminate all the information. So we'll just call it like a mini course. If you yourself are a walk-in, or if you believe you might be a walk-in, I would love to talk to you. If you feel that you're ready to come out and have a conversation about it in the collective, share your experience, please get in touch with me. If you want to confirm or know if you are a walk-in, I would be more than happy to take a look at your soul blueprint. So get in touch with me. I'll have a link to my website if you want to book a session with me. It's something that comes up a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. There's a couple of talking points that I want to get to first. The walk-in phenomena itself, this concept, I kind of looked it up. It was widely planted in the collective in the 70s. And it was really made popular by the Seth Speaks series of books. These were written by a channel named Jane Roberts. And she channeled Seth, or a lot of people refer to him as Set, in the 70s. And that was one of the things that he talked about was walk-ins. In 1979, there was another author named Ruth Montgomery who contributed to the fascination with a book she titled Strangers Among Us. And it was a collection of accounts of walk-ins that she actually interviewed. So one of the really prominent historical figures among her subjects was Thomas Jefferson, who she says hosted walk-in spirits who actually wrote the Declaration of Independence. And honestly, I would not be surprised by that. There has definitely been a belief system, which is actually referred to in occult writings and documentations as an egregor. But there is a belief system and like a matrix of thought that has developed around the walk-in concept. It includes lots of what I would call new age attributes, but like a lot of the stuff is crap. So the new age movement, I mean, hopefully this doesn't, well, if it triggers you, I guess look at that. But there's a lot of crap about in the new age movement. So such as there's a lot of, I would say, rules. Anytime we have quote unquote rules, the possibilities really are endless when you're a creator being. So souls do all kinds of stuff. And, who am I to tell you what is right or wrong or good for you or bad for you? So I just keep an open mind, because reading the Akashic has taught me that the more I think I know, the more I realize I don't know. So if you have all these teachers, a lot of these teachers who are, of the mindset that they know exactly everything that's happening, like I have to go into the records with the mindset of being completely open and fresh. So I'm very off track now. All I'll say is we have to clear up some of these misconceptions about walk-ins. We have to allow them their own place to speak, that have their own truth, integrate in the way that makes sense for them. And also, we can have our own thoughts about it. But the moment we start thinking that we know everything is the moment that we don't. So anyways, I'll just say, off to the questions. Okay. One more person that I wanted to talk to was Edgar Casey, which a lot of you guys know. He really talked about walk-in souls, and he had a lot to say on that. It was pretty eye-opening. I've been reading, a lot of his stuff lately. So here's the thing. Keep an open mind as you go through and listen to this video and get in touch with me if you feel like you've got like activations or rememberings and you're having a hard time integrating them and stuff like that, because I either have resources or people that you can talk to. So anyways, so I had a wonderful question. If you're a walk-in, do you still have the same astrological traits as the person's original born date? Okay, this is a really super cool concept, and I love this question. And I actually had to think about this quite a bit. So here's what I'm going to say about it. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm not super confident in my answer, but my general assertion is yes, I have studied astrology enough to be dangerous. I can read my own chart. I can slightly read other people's charts, but I'm not great at it. So our astrological chart is a snapshot of energies and how they will affect us, and they color the lens that we will look out of. So believe it or not, it is actually a very broad spectrum of frequency with which you can create in and still be a compatible match for a body and these pre-incarnate frequency of energies. So because these contracts are pre-incarnational, and we'll get into that later a little bit more, but yes, it's before birth they're contracted. But, you know, as far as what I see, the walk-in soul has the ability to observe and understand how these energies have integrated into the current life. There are also things like Saturn returns that affect this. So in fact, my hunch is that many of these walk-ins have Saturn return type contracts where the original soul has its shot, but the walk-in gets a crack if the first breath of life soul has gotten into habits, patterns, conditioning, or programming that has limited its consciousness to the point where it's not expanding anymore when their Saturn return manifests. So that's usually around the 29 to like 33-ish age range, if I remember correctly. But it's a pretty vague and broad answer, but it's the best I can do right now with the information I have, because all of this is shifting and changing and happening and manifesting in real time. So the third portal this eclipse season has just opened today, and these energies are coming in directly from the Pleiadian Alcyon vortex right now, but they're real-time photonic light codes that activate our light body DNA. So there's literally no way for anyone to truly know what's happening right now and how this will affect us going forward, because the time of reckoning is now, and the ascension is now, and the timeline is now, and the mission is now. Okay, so this is the now present moment. The ancient future past is all being reckoned in the timeline at this moment. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. How does one know they are a walk-in soul? Okay. Most basic question, right? Everybody wants to know. So there are plenty of walk-in souls who have no idea they are walk-in souls. There are many who have suspicions or believe themselves to be, but they feel like they should just know. That's another thing in the collective that we probably should clear up. You aren't going to just know, okay? And definitely don't should on yourself. You shouldn't just know. It's complicated. The amnesia and the veil of forgetfulness here are real. The manipulation and mind control here are intense. It's okay to not know. It's okay to believe. It's okay to be confused or pissed off or whatever. Only you yourself can really give yourself your own answers. Even if I read someone and I tell them, hey, you're a walk-in soul, they may not accept it. They may reject it. They may not believe it. They may think, oh, cool, and never think of it again. Okay, so think of all the humans out there who are just living their little 3D life with all the distractions and entrapment this false matrix has to offer. I doubt many of them know if they are walk-ins. And those who do are mostly still afraid to give themselves permission to fully explore or accept it, let alone to integrate and understand it and why they did it. Okay. But I do have one sort of trick for those of you who believe that you may be a walk-in soul, okay? The best thing I can tell you to do is travel to a memory around the time that feels like when these changes began to occur in your personality, or the time in your life when you feel you might have walked in. if you are a walk-in, you should have some kind of sense of feeling or knowing. Like that should be your first clue. I read a girl once who just remembers waking up, all of a sudden her consciousness remembers when she was like 6 years old. Okay. If you have literally no recollection of your early childhood, like that's kind of a problem, go back there, So you should kind of know. So now locate a memory that occurred just before that time in your life. Okay. So like if you think that you walked in at 6, think about a time in your life, something that happened when you were 5. It's important to try and remember something before that happened. Okay. And it's better if it evokes a strong emotion, whether that be positive or negative. Okay, so now time travel back to that memory with a conscious focus on your heart space. Does it feel like you are witnessing this memory, or are you actually experiencing it? Okay, do you remember how you felt, the sensations in your body, the smells, the ancillary activities going on in the background? Because here's what I'll say. When you are a walk-in, you are imprinted with all the memories of the previous incarnation, okay? But it will be more like you are watching it play out as in a movie or a play, because those are implanted memories and they do not evoke an all-encompassing experience. They will not evoke the type of emotion that remembering something would have. So let's say, for example, you think you walked in at 6 and your dog died at 5, like that should evoke some emotion even at 5, right? If it's like you're not really connected to that, that's a clue. Okay, true memories will be an all-encompassing experience, complete with multiple inputs of stimulus on multiple dimensions and levels. And when you're remembering like a implanted memory, it's like a unidimensional one. It's like one dimension. It's just, you're not having a lot of things going on. Okay. All right. Second question. Is it contracted in? Yes, from my perspective, always. Now, I should never say always or never as an Akashic reader, but in my opinion, this is not a possession. And while we are on the subject, your body cannot be stolen. There is always permission granted for a soul to inhabit a body. It doesn't just happen. And no, nobody is born possessed. Even if a soul doesn't truly understand what they're doing, there is still permission granted. So just know what you're doing, okay? This includes religious rites, and I'm going to give you an example. If your parents sprinkled water on you as a child and you went along with religious teachings and claimed to have been baptized, then there is consent, even if you were a baby. I was baptized. I am baptized. I am baptized Baptist. Like whatever you are saying, you're claiming. And then you're owning, recognizing, honoring, and then imprinting onto your soul blueprint that claim, that assertion. Okay? Food for thought. There is no disrespect of free will, and bodies on this earth plane can never be taken. There is always some form of consent given. I will not mislead you by saying it is a perfect system and there is no manipulation or loopholes, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. But anytime a soul jumps in or out of a body, there is always consent on some level, even if it is tacit or unconscious. Okay? Why would it be contracted? Okay, the reasons here, you guys, are really endless. They're as varied as the reasons why a soul would incarnate or reincarnate in the first place. So I cannot cover all of them. But from my vantage point, there are a few reasons that seem to pop up more than others. One of them that I'm going to talk about right now is the most common and what's currently happening, and it is a tactic and a technique that is being utilized. So the first one is difficulty. So when the original soul is experiencing physical, mental, or emotional difficulty with its current life incarnation, and it wishes to depart without physical death, a walk-in situation can occur. It doesn't even necessarily have to be that the soul who wants to walk out doesn't want to experience the death. It may be that that parent has not signed up to experience the death of a child. I've seen that happen. So there's all kinds of things, you guys. Okay, the second one that I'm going to talk about right now is the most common. This is a tactic that's being utilized by the light, right now versus the shadow, the low frequency side. And I'm going to just call it anti-life or anti-creation consciousness loops. So when the original soul has incarnated into the same or similar circumstances so many times that it has been caught in some type of loop and has no hope of expanding its consciousness. That sounds crazy, but I'm going to give you, as best I can, an example in a minute. So the circumstances that this soul has chosen to incarnate to has magnetized through trauma and has relived lifetime after lifetime, sometimes with the same souls, usually with the same souls, and they have no hope of evolving their consciousness. They are then actually caught in an anti-life, anti-creation, anti-evolutionary consciousness experience. So consider it like faction changes. I have a lot to say on this, so I'll say it now. So imagine incarnating over and over and over as a middle income, white, male or female. I'm going to say male or female in America. You will experience a certain set of circumstances, i.e., privilege or opportunities that shape the way your soul grows, evolves, which then creates thought patterns, habits, programming, behaviors, attitudes that are continually reinforced by those experiences. I'm going to go on the extreme, and hopefully this doesn't trigger anyone, but let's say that soul continues to experience the same experiences over and over and over again, and they experience this privilege to the point where they literally cannot see the perspective of people of color, and they become racist. That those kind of things happen. So it's like a shard of their soul literally refuses to evolve, which delays the progress of many, 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 many other parts and depths and layers to this soul. So you eventually begin to see your soul expansion from only one rule set, and you refuse to see the other side. So you're creating a very myopic lens for your soul. The soul in the lifetime is experiencing incarnations that match certain energies over and over, so they can't see past their own perspective or lens. So what happens is a soul from a different faction decides to incarnate in the middle of that incarnation. And that soul has the perspective of a Black female from a lower socioeconomic hierarchy. New energies are going to flood that physical body as those emotional, mental, and etheric bodies are replaced. That's the most common one. People have literally refused to expand their consciousness sets, so much so that they've painted themselves into boxes. And now they literally have to have other souls come in and help them to figure this shit out. That sounded really judgy, and it was. I'm sorry. Skills upgrade. This is actually not as common, but is pretty interesting. Skills upgrade. This is where the original soul actually leaves to gain an experience in another realm or planetary consciousness to bring back necessary tools or wisdom or instruction sets for a short amount of time, and returns to their incarnation. I have seen where a soul wants to experience Earth, but not the full thing. They don't want to incur karma here. They don't really want to do anything. They just want to experience it. So they might inhabit the body while that other soul is in a coma to make sure that there is a consciousness there. And then they'll go off and explore while that other soul is learning. Okay, so they can travel around, the hospital or experience what's going on with the family, and they can experience certain energies of Earth without actually living a life. They're like a placeholder because no changes are really being made to the incarnation. They aren't making decisions. They're just traveling the astral. So this is a walk-in situation, but for a temporary placement, no work's really being done. Fugue states may even be this situation, like when someone has a psychotic break and just they may be off gaining another skill set so that they can come back into the incarnation and finish it without being having to experience psychosis. Like they need skills, they need an upgrade. Okay, so that could be too. Okay, why would it not be contracted? Okay, so there's a lot of reasons. I don't even think I can address this. If someone wants to completely make sure that they are the only one in charge of their incarnation, they would say, hey, I'm opting out. Like, I don't want a walk-in situation. No matter how deep it gets, no matter how bad it gets, I'm staying in. I'm handling this. This may be a situation even for people who have experienced suicide. That is extreme trauma to your own soul. I mean, that's got to be a last resort for people, I'm sure. And so, if they had a walk-in scenario contracted pre-incarnation, that might have been easier for them. But they said, no, I can do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. Okay. So, I mean, there's walk-ins can be offered and not utilized. I know for me, that is the situation for me. I was offered a walk-in 3 separate times in my life. I did not remember the first offer at 4 in like 1983, and then there was a second offer in June of 1985 until the third time it was offered in May of 2017. But once it was offered and I was conscious of it, all the memories of the other previous offers came flooding in. I know exactly who she was in a previous lifetime. She's been with me since childhood. I definitely do not work with her much. Okay, honestly, she has scared me just a bit, if I'm being honest. She doesn't mean to. That's not what she's intending. But the circumstances surrounding this whole situation are super unique, and I'm working through my feelings on that. But I do believe that many of us have alternates or possibilities, if you will, but not contracting it could be situations where they somehow just know there's no other way out this lifetime. They don't want to give themselves an out. They have to remember how hard, when you get to the other side and you're planning your next incarnation, like there are if you're cocky here, you may be cocky there too. That's what I'm saying. Like when you get out of your vehicle, which is your body, your soul still carries a lot of these attributes. When we, our makeup stays kind of the same. Okay. Why would you choose the same body? Okay, I don't really fully understand this question because the second soul didn't choose this body, nor did their DNA express their physicality in this realm. The physical matter parts of the body were manifested by the first soul's DNA. Okay, so the second soul walking in will bring in certain changes that come to the physical body, but the changes are primarily energetic and higher dimensional. New ways of thinking, new coping mechanisms, new interests or preferences. So the physicality can and will change, but the physical matter laws of reality that govern this reality still take precedence. And so there's only so much change that a body can change, but they didn't choose that body. It's not the same body. It's actually a very different body. Okay. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Do others notice a difference in personality? Is it obvious? What are some of the classic signs of a walk-in? Okay, so these are all encompassing. So they may change their sexuality, religion. They may leave a marriage. They may suddenly just up and move, quit their job. They may feel disoriented or lost. It may look like they disconnect from the life and attachments that used to give them joy or pleasure. Relationships that used to be close suddenly are not, or they begin pursuing new relationships or new hobbies. They may be just irritable or on edge. You may not really fully know. They may not know. I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to understand if it's happening to you. They may suddenly get panic attacks or anxiety attacks. They may even experience seizures, okay? Because these impulses and inputs from your mental and emotional bodies are those signals are carried through your central nervous system, okay? So if your central nervous system is the interface between those mental and emotional bodies and they're completely new, that could zap your whole circuitry. And I do know someone who had a seizure when the soul walked in, and that's when she came to, is after the seizure. She woke up from the seizure and was like, oh, I'm on Earth. Okay. You may hear voices. Okay. So like these are all classic signs of a walk-in, but they could be signs of other things too. So, how do you resume or pick up a life from where it was left off from another? So here's the thing, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but the overall feeling for the previous life experiences is one of neutrality. So the walk-ins retain life facts without like an emotional attachment to them. Like memories are like watching a movie with the emotional sound turned off. Okay, so this neutrality is a feeling of detachment, but and that's really, it's by design, and it kind of has to be that way. As they learn to integrate the experiences. And you want that sense of kind of neutrality because you want new energies, new ways of being, new evolutionary skills to be able to be utilized in the incarnation. That's the whole point. So that detachment can be pretty emotionally significant, though, for people like their mates, their children, parents, friends. So the old issues, unresolved situation, and personal difficulties of the previous incarnate are often easy for the new walk-in to handle because their thinking is so different. That's why they leave an unsatisfying marriage or an unfulfilling job. The previous occupant couldn't resolve those things. They're tough things, but that's why that walk-in came in, okay? When does the walk-in occur, day or night? Okay, so the personality, so here, this is evolving and changing and growing too, okay? The personality may or may not be conscious during the actual walk-in. If the personality is unconscious, the transfer often occurs during a deep trance or a sleep state. So that could look like trauma. The soul could choose to manifest trauma to the body, such as an accident, illness, coma, concussion, emotional shock, etc. But what they're doing is they're allowing the new soul to more quickly integrate to a deeper level because all the body's systems are disrupted from the habitual patterns by the trauma state that they're in. So the body itself is more receptive to the new soul coming in. Now, in the past, soul evolution and migration, this is what I see, was the most common route that the two souls would undertake for the transfer of energy. But now the walk-in process is actually, I'm going to say somewhat easier, but I would think, definitely easier for several reasons. But everyone on the planet has begun the light body mutation. Everyone, okay? Everyone. For a walk-in, this means that the physical body is better able to accept a new energy at the cellular level, and the personality can adapt to a new entity, a new identity. Also, now there are support systems and integration services for walk-ins. Now they're small circular vortexes of energy. There are not very many walk-ins online helping others integrate and adapt, but like my guest, that I was going to have on, she does work. So more and more walk-ins are fully conscious through the whole transfer, because we need them to be the front runners of going, I'm a walk-in, I remember being a walk-in, let me help others, right? So it's unlocking that memory for them. This is actually a reflection of a step in our evolutionary process as we undergo the ascension process. So it's a good thing. All of us are experiencing this type of phenomena to some degree because we are all integrating new energies and upgrades that are altering us at various multidimensional levels. So you can think of these pieces and parts of our souls and oversouls. They're all one. They're all connected. Some of us are taking small bites at a time while others are drinking in massive gulps. Okay. Some of us are just taking in small amounts of new energies into our physical bodies as we integrate our shadow, our unclaimed parts, our repressed parts, right? While others are taking massive gulps and doing like catch-up work, okay? Because they, maybe didn't do it before, or you see what I'm saying? So there's no right or wrong way to do it. The reasons are varied for why this happens. But the point is, we got to talk about it because it's happening. Okay, where does the other soul go? Okay, again, the choices truly are vast and possibilities are endless because it depends on the reasons for the walk-in the first place. But, the soul that walked out did so for reasons known to them, and they will experience the afterlife process in the manner their soul needs for growth. Most likely, they will experience an afterlife review where they will again connect to cosmic infinity consciousness to review, regroup, debrief, and then go on to heal or incarnate again, experience a life in between a life, become a spirit guide. There's all kinds of things that soul could do. The soul may choose to stick around with the other soul as kind of like being able to experience what that soul did with the life that they were given, okay? They're learning from the soul who's living their life in a very different manner, what they could have done to see a different option. Like, that's an option, okay? The soul may need healing, so they may need to just go heal for a little bit, check out. Possibilities really, again, are endless. They may go to another star system that's a better vibrational match for them, but maybe still a third dimensional reality so that they can grow in a different manner, okay? What does the other soul then do? The possibilities truly depend on the reasons for leaving and what the soul needs or chooses to experience next. Okay, what is the purpose of a walk-in? The purpose and intention is typically to expand the awareness and consciousness of not only the soul walking in, but the soul exiting as well. So it's typically a mutual energetic exchange. It's, usually positive and beneficial. There can also be agreements between soul families and ancestral lineages that play a part in this, okay? Meaning ancestral trauma or cycles that ancestral lineages have been choosing to incarnate into multiple times, and now they need that sacrificial lamb, I guess I'll say, to come in and stop that ancestral pattern of thinking. The time travel plays a part in this. The war for planetary consciousness plays a role in this. There's a really interesting concept that I want to talk about really quick before I go. I know this is a really long video. I'm trying to wrap it up, but think of the skin suit, the human DNA biological skin suit, as a plug and play type adapter for many different celestial and cosmic galactic races. So if you can get that soul into a plug and play adapter human body, you can really bolster or improve relations between star families, soul groups, interdimensional races. Okay, there are councils working with other councils, or races working with other races, star systems working with other star systems to get certain energies into physical bodies that share higher dimensional oversouls so that they can then bridge gaps and share that information. Okay, so this is all about information exchange, and DNA is the currency of consciousness. So the last question is, how do you know that this isn't dissociative identity disorder? You don't, okay? What I will say is we give all of these third dimensional medical terms to what we think we know about the third dimensional reality that we live in. When we choose to follow materialist science, which only subscribes to things that pertain to matter. So when you have an entire science based on things that you can see, hear, taste, touch, feel, and you choose to ignore all of the other things that you know absolutely exist, like I can't prove love, but I can feel it, right? Like I can't, it's not tangible, right? So there's these things exist out there. And so when you subscribe to a science that chooses to ignore these things, you will call them schizophrenia, you will call them dissociative identity disorder. And when you choose not to address the energetic reasons for why these are happening, you will stuff somebody full of pills, or you will put them in a hospital and say that they're mentally ill. We have to admit that the chakra system exists, the nadis exist, you have a nodal structure. These are, you have an entire anatomy of a soul that interfaces with your physical body. Like the impulses from your mental and emotional bodies absolutely interfere or interface with your pain body. And those are brought down into your human body through the chakra system and through your nodal structure. And I mean, just because science doesn't admit that they're there doesn't mean that they don't exist, and they absolutely exist in the records, and they're called things, and they're identified, and you know, there are beings here who can heal them, who've brought this information in with them. So I'll get off my soapbox now and just tell you that I have really truly enjoyed this, making this video. If you have more questions, I'm sure this is a topic that a lot of people have questions about. Feel free to post them. I will be happy to have as many of these discussions as need be to answer as many questions as I possibly can for you, because I do feel like this is an area that I'm being taken into heavily. So I love you all. Thank you for being here. Subscribe to my channel. If you liked this video, please like it. Share with your friends. We've got to get this information out there. We have to be able to talk about it, and I appreciate you guys allowing me the opportunity to, you know, put it out there in the collective. So I love you all. That's how I back about walk-ins. Have an awesome day, you guys. Thank you.